Whenever you get given some data, there's a good chance you're going to have to clean it, and that is very true for any data that you have scraped from the web. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use polars and Seaborn to clean, modify, transform, and then analyze a little bit and visualize the data that I've scraped. So I have my folder here. If you want to see how I scrape this data, then there's another video which I'll link to for that. You're going to need to install a couple of things. We'll have to do pip install polars, and we're using polars, not pandas, for this one. And also we're going to need to use Seaborn and then a notebook as well. I think it's Jupyter notebook, like so. Now, generally speaking, I don't tend to use notebooks too much, but for working like this, it's really worth it. So I have all of this installed already. So I'm just going to go ahead and run Jupyter notebook. That's going to go ahead up and start up the notebook server for me, and it's going to open it in my browser, which is over here. I've got running now. So if I just refresh this, this should be good. There we go. In fact, learning to work with data like this was probably one of the best skills that I ever taught myself outside of straight up programming. It really helped me understand my client needs and how I could best fit my solutions to them. And that's where the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant, comes in. Brilliant makes it easy for anyone to pick up and get going. And this is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI. By building a solid foundation, Brilliant is a learning platform that's lessons are designed to be hands-on, giving you the opportunity to not only see the correct answer, but also play around with the core concepts. And this is by far the most effective way to learn and build up those real-life problem-solving skills. It's perfect for learners of any level, and completing just a few minutes of the fun lessons each day will really help build a daily habit that will quickly become a powerful growth tool. There's a ton of new data content up now too, which actually uses large real-world data sets. So not only can you look for trends and learn to make informed decisions by analyzing actual data, you'll get experience with data that has come from places like Spotify, X, and more. So to try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/JohnWatsonRooney or click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Let's get back to the data. Okay, so I need to create a new file. So I'm going to do a new notebook here. And then we can start to work with the data set that we've got. So I'm going to import polars. I'm going to do import polars as PL, as its tradition. I'm also going to import in Seaborn as SNS, again by convention. This is how we import these. I'm going to create my data frame. I'm going to call my main data frame DF, and then when we create other data frames off of that, they'll have more descriptive names. And this is going to be pl.read CSV, and it's a results.csv file. From here, we can do df.head, and we can have a look at the data. We can see what we're working with, and we can also do other things like df.describe to have a look at it, describe, so we can see everything. This one is pretty useful because it will tell us, for example, here, the count of data in the columns and the data types, which is very useful. You can see we've got strings, float 64s, etc., and also a sample of the data under things like here, max, for example. So you'll notice that we've got some odd looking data here. It's come under as a string and the color, and we're probably definitely going to want to do that. So we'll have a look at that in a minute, and I will show you how we can handle this as we go forward. So here's our describe. Another good one we can look at is df.schema. And this again is going to give us a list of all of the columns, the names, and the types. Now you can see there's a lot of columns here in this data, a load of which we just don't really need. Now, if you only need to get rid of a few columns, you can drop them. But in this case, where I'm actually only after the data from a few columns, we're going to want to actually create a new data frame with that data rather than try and drop stuff out of this one. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So when we're working with data in polars, there's 4 different main ways that we want to handle our data frame. There's select, filter, with columns, and group by. We can use then expressions against these, and that's what we're going to do going forward. But basically, select will give you the subset of columns that you want to work with. Filter will give you the same, but for rows. With columns is to create new rows, so create new columns rather. So if you think you might to have like one column value minus another, you create a new one. You use with columns for that. And group by is for grouping up data. So let's have a look first at our df.select, and we're going to say then pl.col. Now this is how we're going to select any column data from our data frame. So if I was to put in here, let's go for sales price current whole number. Let's put this in here like so and finish that up. You'll see that we have this column here. This in itself isn't that useful, so we need to do something better, but it gives us an idea of how we can actually work with the data. So I'm going to create that new data frame, the one with just the information that we want. I'm going to get rid of this. We don't need this one. I'm just going to call this one Fern for furniture, I guess, because that's what this data set is. And from here, what we want to do is df.select, because we want to select our columns from this to create our new data frame. And in fact, I'll just remove this first and I'll show you how that works. So we're going to want to have the, for example, we're going to have, where is it? Name, type name. We'll start with these. So we're selecting these columns that we want to have: name, type, name. What else do we want to grab? I would say the ID is probably a good one. In fact, let's put the ID at the front like so. Type name, and we'll have rating, rating count, and rating value like so. You could just select them all as you go forward. Then let's take the sales price current, and we'll just do the whole number. It splits it all out in this. You get the idea. And then the sales price previous whole number like so. So if we hit enter on that, you can see now we've just condensed our data set down into just the columns that we were after. And it was easier than removing the ones that we didn't want. We also want to include the colors. I missed that one out. So let's have colors in there as well. Cool. So you can see every time we run this, we automatically get the shape, which tells us how many rows and columns we're working with. So we know there's 1,000 rows and 8 columns, which is always useful to know. So to save this over into our new data frame, again, we're just going to do fern is equal to, and that's just going to overwrite it for us. So now our actual fern data frame is the exact what we just had here with our select. Then what we want to do is we want to create a new column. This is where we're going to use our with columns, because we're going to do our previous price minus the current price to give us the saving available. So to do that, we're going to do we're going to do fern.with columns, because with columns is going to allow us to add a column with columns. We'll do pl.col to select the column that we want to work with to start with. And we're going to do previous, because we want to do previous minus current. So we'll put that in there, and then we'll do .sub for subtract. And again, pl.col, so we're going to select the column, and it should be current, this one. Paste him in there. And then we want to do alias, and alias is going to say, hey, we want to create this column with this name, like so. And if we just put enough of these in here, and I need to change this to this. Now we changed the brackets around here, I had them in the wrong place, but now we have the savings, extra savings column here, where it's actually, see, it's 29 now, it was 35, so the saving is 6. Now we can sort this, and we can do .sort on the end of this, and we say by, as we want the column to sort it on savings. And this is just going to be off the edge of the screen, but I'm going to do just here, I'm going to do descending is equal to false, like so. And that needs to be inside of here, like this, and final bracket like that. There we go. So we want to do descending is true, actually. There we go. So now we've added in our new column. We've sorted it by the savings amount. We can see we've still got some null values in here, but we're going to handle those in just a minute. We have descending is equal to true. Now, again, to make this permanent, we need to do fern is equal to. So we can just run this again and just see that we still have this data frame that we are now working with. But now we need to handle the null values, and that's nice and easy. We can do fern dot drop nulls like so. And that will remove all the null values. And again, I don't know if there's an in place. In pandas, there's an in place, but we're just going to do it like this. So now we have the actual data frame ready for us to work with the savings. But we still have this color issue. So if I go and do select on the color column, so if we do fern.select and pl.col to select the color column like this, you'll see that we have this horrible, it's basically a long string, and it's not perfectly formatted JSON, so we need to do something with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because this is a type of string, so it says it's a string here, I'm going to split it up and I'm going to create a list type with it by doing split, and then we'll index to get the actual color of the product that we are working, that we have here, instead of this thing that we can't work with. So again, we do fern.with columns, and we're going to select our pl.col of colors like so. Then we want to do .string.str.split, and we're going to split this on a single quote, because there's a single quote in here around these keys, or that what would have been keys. So if I do this and we complete this and run this, you'll see now we have this as a list of strings, and we have this here. So what we can do is with this, we can do list.get, and we can index it on, I think, third one. And that doesn't work. We need to go back in here like this. So we're actually working on it. And there we go. So now we've gone and created, they changed it, this colors one, and we've split it, and then we've indexed, and that's given us the string with the actual color. Now, this is one way of fixing that issue. Generally speaking, I think you want to try and avoid having data like this in your data frame, but you can fix it like so. So I'm going to do now again, fern is equal to like this, and this is going to give us our ready data frame with everything that we want to do, so we can start to actually look at this data a bit more and figure out, you know, a few interesting things about it. Maybe there's some kind of correlation between the amount being saved and the rating of the product, for example, and that's where we want to use group by. So let's do fern, which is our data frame group by, and we'll say the rating value column, rating value. And we want to do .ag because we want, and pl.col on the savings, and we want to do aggregate function, and this is then sum like so. Savings, there we go. Okay, so I can see now that I've got this table where it's basically summed up this data with using group by, and we have that the most amount of savings are actually on 4.5, and we can do sort on this. So we can do sort on by is equal to savings, and we'll do descending is equal to true. And there we go. So you can actually see that there isn't really any correlation, but it's worth looking at. You know, we can figure these sorts of things out. So let's have another look. Let's put something else in. So I'm going to copy this whole line here, and we're going to do, instead of rating value, we'll have type name. So we can now see that the pocket sprung mattresses are the ones that are being the most discounted along with the desks. Now let's say we were interested in the desks, and this is where it's really cool because we still have our main data frame here. So we can go ahead and go back and do df.select on our pl.col, and we want to do type name, and it's equal to desk. So this should select us all of the and we wanted to do filter because I wanted to do filter on rows. So now we have the all of the desks here, but let's say we want to do it. Well, actually, we just want to do this on our fern data frame. There we go. So now we have this back where all the desks are. We can also then chain these together by doing .filter again, pl.col, and let's say colors, and let's say we only want to find the beige desks. And there we go. There's our list of all the information from our beige desks. Now we did import Seaborn at the start, so let's go ahead and make this beige desk, make this a data frame. So now we can do some kind of plot with it. So let's do lm plot, and we'll put in our beige desk data frame, and our y will be let's actually double check where I wanted to be with this. Our y is going to be the rating value, and let's say our x is going to be the savings here like so. And there we go. So we can see that for the beige desks. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of useful information here going on, but you kind of get the idea. So you want to learn how to use filter, you want to learn how to use select, and you want to be able to process your data like so. Now this really does open up a lot of doors for you. It makes a lot easier to work with data, and it's not difficult to teach yourself how to work with this once you get your head around the core ideas and concepts. So it's definitely worth learning. So hopefully you've picked up something from this and understood maybe how polars or even pandas, which is very similar to this, can help you out. And if you like this video, go ahead, like, subscribe. That always helps me out. And yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.